David, with the arraignment of Jeffrey Epstein earlier this week, there's been a lot of information coming out in the mainstream news, even some things that haven't been spoken about anywhere at all before. How are you today, David?
I'm very well, Jason. Good to be with you.
It's wonderful to see you, as always. You know, one of the things that's really captured my attention with the Jeffrey Epstein plane is that we haven't heard that much about the technology of it. This is a Boeing 727, the only tri-jet Boeing ever made, and it's a pretty old aircraft. They started making it, I think, in about 1964 or 5, stopped manufacturing them in 1984, and the particular jet that's owned by Epstein is from 1969. It just strikes me as very odd that a billionaire would have a 50-year-old jet with relatively inefficient, low bypass ratio jet engines and limited range. You know, he talks about flying around to Africa and whatnot. It seems very strange to me, David.
Yeah, but it would be particularly interesting if there was a conspiracy, which is what I believe Epstein is now being charged with, a conspiracy to traffic. Conspiracy implies there are several people involved in the process of procuring and abusing and, dare I say it, getting rid of the witnesses, possibly on St. James's Island. So it may be, I think that's an argument that I would make, that his plane was heavily customized to support what he's charged and yet to be convicted of, which is a conspiracy to traffic, which will probably put him behind bars for life. But a conspiracy implies that he's working with several other people.
Right.
And so on the image that you've opened this particular episode with, we've got three very intriguing and influential people that may have been a part of the conspiracy, whether they were blackmailed into it, extorted into it, terrified into it, or bribed into it. I think the facts will come up through the process of discovery. But we have Jeffrey Epstein looking a little haggard. We have Prince Andrew, who's a very interesting character, who's alleged to have been on the Little St. James's Island being entertained by some of the young women. He denies it, of course, that had been procured for Jeffrey Epstein by, let's say, the pimp or the alleged pimp, Ghislaine Maxwell. Yep. And then over on the right of the image, we have Mr. Howard Lutnick, who has a mansion beside the mansion that was raided recently by the police, where they discovered a trove of lewd photographs inside the safe. And Howard Lutnick put on a bundling exercise for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. And one would presume, yes, there's a door that was crowbarred. So it's a very interesting mansion. So actually another prequel or sequel to what we do with what's on the plane is what's in that mansion. Right. I think there's some very interesting things inside that mansion, including fiber optic links to various other departments around the world, and possibly including Chicago, over which could be transmitted these scenes involving powerful characters, VIPs, having some kind of sexual relationship with underage children.
Right.
Now, you can imagine over the duration of Epstein's career, where he suddenly materializes allegedly as a billionaire with a mansion that I think is valued at $77 million.
Yeah.
But the people who investigated that transaction find that it was actually donated to him by this gentleman, Wexner, who has got a company that I think owns Victoria's Secrets. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And you know, David, it's important that we let everyone know that, of course, we're going to be starting our sponsor-only exclusive show in just a little while, about a little less than 30 minutes, and that's going to be happening on patreon.com/reverse CSI storyboards, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We're going to be getting into a lot of details about what, David, you have speculated may in fact be on this plane. I find it very interesting. You know, I was looking up the tail number of Jeffrey Epstein's plane, which is N908 JE. Now, I used to operate drone aircraft, and I do believe you can select your own tail number, and if it's available, they give it to you. There are a lot of things we can find out about a plane when we have the tail number and look it up. And, you know, I was looking, I don't really know exactly how to read some of the details on these plane websites, but the registration history for this plane seems to indicate that in looks like the jet was purchased by some sort of real estate exchange on November 16th of 2000. And it causes me to think about a topic that you and I have discussed many, many times, David, the raid on Starnet Communications, which was engaged in online gaming and child pornography. They took all the kit. Where did it go?
Well, I think that's an absolutely fundamental question, and I believe the listeners will really enjoy when we go to the main part of the show, the Patreon-only show. But I think that what we're going to be able to do is create a thread as to the kit that was confiscated from Starnet Communications in Vancouver, which had been going since 1996 and was allegedly engaged in marketing and trafficking in hardcore child and adult pornography into 66 countries, together with online gaming, which might include, and I believe does include, betting on the length of time it would take for a woman to die out at the Picton pig farm if she was shot with a biological bullet. Now, I'm sure people will recoil in horror at the thought that that's possible, but let me remind people that this is the scene of one of the greatest serial killings in the history of North America, where from 1996 to 2002, up to 60 First Nations women, mainly prostitutes, but I don't care about that, were killed out at that pig farm, attended by raves, allowed and authorized by the Canadian federal government, of up to 1,700 people. And I believe that that plane that we're looking at, or planes like it, would have been used to fly the guests and the maitre d's up to either Abbotsford Airport or Vancouver International Airport, and they would go out to the pig farm, stay in a local hotel, and watch these women being killed in public. So we've got the most extraordinary story where the technology, what happened to the technology and who developed it? Well, the company that used it, Starnet International Communications, allegedly was shut down. It was raided. No one was arrested. No one went to court. All of the kit was gone, including evidence of the child and adult pornography, hardcore pornography, that might include snuff films recorded out at the pig farm, together with online gaming. And I think it's perfectly reasonable, since we know that there was a trading floor on the inside Epstein's jet, that they might have had the facility for trafficking in the hardcore adult child pornography and online gaming or sportsbook betting on body counts at major events around the world.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that far-fetched, David. We know that this guy is involved in child pornography. He's got these nude pictures. We've seen this video before of the, what was it, the IRS, the Border Patrol from the United States. They went in there. It's a very...
Excuse me, I just go to the details. There was a 100-man law enforcement team that raided this place on the 20th of August, 1999, right? Which was the same year a project was started in Chicago, but I'll come back to that. Of those 100 people, there were Vancouver police, RCMP, the high-tech unit from Ottawa, and 2 SWAT teams from the United States, from the IRS and Customs. And I don't believe that raid by cross-border was authorized by the Canadian government, or if it was authorized, it was to take away evidence of something much bigger than killing people out at the pig farm. It was actually a trafficking network in children.
Wow.
Right? And then it would be natural to think, if you got children servicing passengers on Epstein's plane, that they would be filmed as they did it. So quite possibly inside Epstein's safe in his mansion, will be films of some of his passengers abusing children, underage children, and that'll put them behind bars for a long, long time.
Right. But of course, David, we've heard quite a lot of reporting about the multiple fires that have occurred that burned down the compound, burned down this bizarre temple that Epstein had at his place. So perhaps that evidence has been destroyed, but we're going to be getting into all of these details and more in about 20 minutes when we switch over to our exclusive sponsor-only show. That's going to be happening on patreon.com/reverse CSI storyboards, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I do want to remind everyone that they can also visit David's website, which is reversecciscripts.com. David maintains a playlist of all of our YouTube videos, and you can access that. Oops, sorry. We've also got David's Patreon page here, so I hope that people who are watching us on patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth will also go to patreon.com/reverse CSI storyboards. But just getting back to David's free web page for a moment, it's a great resource for accessing the playlists and seeing all of the videos that we have put together. If there's anything we talk about today that is confusing, you might want to reference this playlist on reversecciscripts.com. You can also access David's Twitter account by clicking on the little Twitter bird, and you're going to find him on Twitter at CSI Hawkins. So, David, we're going to shift over now, and we're going to be talking about exactly what is on Jeffrey Epstein's plane over at patreon.com/reverse CSI storyboards, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Your sponsorship helps keep this show going, and I think even if you've never seen an episode that we've done before, you might find yourself amazed by the dots that will be connected today. We'll see everybody over there at Patreon and Subscribestar. Thanks for watching, everybody.